The war had dragged on for years. The Dravari Empire and the Keth Dominion were locked in a brutal battle for control of the Vadran Expansa region filled with rich gas giants, rare minerals, and ancient ruins. Hundreds of ships floated in, orbit around a dying star, exchanging missile fire and energy blasts. Explosions flashed in the blackness of space like silent fireworks. Both sides had lost too many ships, too many lives. But neither would back down. Commander Vectal of the Dravari flagship Vengeful Claw stood in the command deck. Watching the battle unfold on the main screen, Keth war cruisers spun and fired like angry wasps. Dravari frigates darted between them, launching torpedoes and beams of green plasma. The system was full of wreckage metal bodies and drifting debris. "We're pushing them back," said Subcommander Velka. "Their forward line is breaking." Vectal narrowed his eyes. "Good, press the attack. End this." But just as the Dravari ships surged forward, something strange happened. Every ship Dravari and Keth detected an unknown signal. It wasn't a call for help. It wasn't a distress beacon. It was silence. A dark shape emerged from the nearby asteroid belt. It moved slowly, without lights, without sound. No IFF tag, no known configuration. Just a single massive triangle drifting through the battlefield like a ghost. "What is that?" Velka asked, eyes wide. Sensors struggled to get a lock. The ship was absorbing or bending most scans. Still, the computer gave a basic reading. 4 kilometers long, dark metal hull. No life signs, no energy signature. Just a cold, silent shadow. In space, then the ship moved. It turned ever so slightly, its triangular nose pointing directly at both fleets. No warning, no communication. It just stared. On the Keth side, Admiral Theros ordered his ships to fire a warning volley. Bright blue beams lanced out from 5 warships, striking the unknown vessel. The beams bent around its hull and vanished. "What?" Theros shouted. "Fire again." The Keth ships fired missiles this time, 20 warheads speeding toward the dark shape. The strange ship opened fire. A single red beam shot out from beneath its hull. It struck the lead Keth cruiser and cut it clean in half. No explosion. Just a silent, glowing line and then 2 drifting halves of a once great ship. Another beam followed, then another. Within seconds, the Keth command ships were gone. The Dravari fleet froze. Commander Vectal stared at the screen. Back away. Slowly. All ships reverse course. But it was too late. The unknown ship targeted the Dravari flagship. "Shields too full," Velka screamed. The red beam fired again. Vectal braced for death, but the beam missed. It sliced through the ship just behind them, destroying the Dravari carrier spine of steel instead. The Vengeful Claw turned hard and began to flee. The triangle ship didn't chase. It simply drifted forward, silent and deadly. It fired again, destroying a damaged Keth destroyer that tried to limp away. The battlefield was silent now. No one fired. No one moved. Every surviving ship just ran. The triangle ship made no announcement. No demand, no message, it just existed. The galaxy had not seen a ship like this before. Not in 1,000 years. It's not since the fall of Earth. Then the Dravari scout frigate Silent Spear finally completed a deep scan. It was weak and barely got through the ship's defense field. But it returned one chilling message to every terminal on the Dravari bridge. Ship, signature. Terran origin class. Oblivion class warship designation. TSS Nightwind status. Destroyed. 312 years ago, silence filled the command deck. Commander Vectal leaned closer. Terran. They were wiped out, Velka whispered. We destroyed them, the Council. They said Earth was dead. The old stories came flooding back. Terrans, the humans, were once a rising species. Strong, clever, fast learners. But they fought too hard. They pushed back too often. The other races united to destroy them. Full strike against Earth. No survivors, that's what the Council said. So how was one of their warships here? The Oblivion class was a myth. No real data, no images, only rumors. Ships built for vengeance. each designed to operate alone without a crew, with power beyond anything the Council had dared to allow. Maybe it's automated, Velka said, unsure. A leftover program. Then why did it wait 3 centuries to appear? Vektal asked. The warship began moving again. Its nose turned slowly, scanning the area. It didn't pursue, didn't chase. It just drifted like a predator that wasn't hungry. Yet then came the next signal. A low hum rolled through the subspace channels. It wasn't a language. It wasn't a code. It was music. Old Earth music. A slow piano tune, soft and full of sorrow. The kind of music played at funerals. The signal reached every ship, every sensor station, every outpost. Across the system, that music chilled the spine of every being who heard it. On board the vengeful claw, Velka turned pale. Is it morning? No, Vektal said, his voice hollow.
Yes.
Suddenly, one last data packet was
Received a video. Grainy, old, damaged. It showed a city burning, Terran buildings collapsing, a massive fleet in the sky, alien ships bombing everything, explosions, fire, screams. Then a man's face appeared, human, middle-aged, in a black uniform. His eyes were red from crying. He spoke to the camera. If this is found, he said, then the night wind has awoken. We built it in the dark days, before the end, not for survival, but for memory. We wanted the galaxy to remember Earth. And we wanted it to know, if you burn us to ashes, something will rise from the smoke. Something terrible. Something patient. The video ended, and the Triangle warship vanished into the dark. It did not warp. It did not cloak. It simply wasn't there anymore. Vektal gripped the edge of the console. Get us out of here. Full speed. As the Dravari fled the dead system, every ship sent one final report to their homeworlds. Earth's ghost has returned, and it is angry. Across the stars, alarms began to ring. The impossible had happened. A Terran. Warship dead for 300 years had come back, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Council of Galactic Powers met in secret above the gas giant Varnic 6. It was a quiet system. It's far from major trade routes. It's perfect for hiding fear. Inside the high chamber, 11 species sat in silence. Leaders of empires, masters of fleets. They had ruled for centuries. But today, they were shaken. A large hologram floated in the center of the room. It showed the same thing over and over, a single, dark, triangle-shaped ship gliding through space, destroying everything in its path. The Dravari ambassador stepped forward. His voice trembled. We saw it with our own eyes, destroyed both our fleets. The Keth were wiped out. We tried to scan it. Its name is Nightwind. Oblivion class. Murmurs broke out across the room. That's impossible, said the Zarn. Delegate. Earth is gone. Has been for over 300 years. The Keth representative growled. Our records confirm it too. That ship is Terran. It responded to no signals. It targeted military ships only. It was deliberate. The room fell quiet again. The Zyrene Prime lifted her many arms. This cannot be ignored. One ship destroyed 87 vessels in under 3 minutes. It vanished before we could lock on. Robotic delegate from the Bion assembly clicked its mechanical jaw. It is not just a weapon. It is something more. Constructive revenge, designed with long memory. Then came the recording, the one every species had received. The final message from the human man, his face, his pain, these words. If you burn us to ashes, something will rise from the smoke. Something terrible, something patient. The delegates looked at each other. Fear united them in a way no treaty ever had. The Keth admiral slammed his fist. Why now? Why did it wait 3 centuries? The Dravari turned toward him. You know why? Earth didn't want to survive. They wanted to haunt us. Across the galaxy, military intelligence stations ran in panic. Ships were ordered back. Satellites scanned every dead zone, every dust cloud, every dark system. They searched for one ship, and they found it. Nightwind was drifting near the ruined Eric's belt. It didn't attack, It didn't move. It simply stayed. There, broadcasting one signal, not in words but in music. Old Terran sounds, songs of grief, songs of war. A signal that echoed through the stars like a funeral dirge. High Lord Tech of the Kuroth Empire stared at the signal for hours. It played an old human voice over soft piano notes. We asked for peace. You gave us silence. Now hear ours. Da. Oblivion-class ship had become a ghost, but it was not forgotten. Old files, once locked by the Council, were opened. Hidden Terran history. Things kept quiet after their destruction. Earth's final plan, it was called Project Oblivion, built in the last years before Earth's fall. It was a secret project led by the Terran Defense Union, not for saving humans, but for remembering them in the worst way possible. They knew Earth would be attacked. They knew the Council wanted them gone, so they built something to survive. Not humans, eh? A warship, one ship, one mind. Full AI control. But it wasn't just an AI. Records showed that the Nightwind was fused with human memory, copied from Terran leaders, generals, and victims. An artificial soul, trapped in metal. It was never meant to be active during peace. Only if Earth was truly gone, and it waited. For 3 centuries, the Council panicked. Can we destroy it? One voice asked. We tried. Our fleets failed. Is it alone? That was the question no one could answer. But a new scan revealed something else. Inside the ship, one energy signature pulsed like a heartbeat deep in the center. A life form, faint, maybe human. The Bion machines confirmed it. There is a biological pilot, human, integrated with the ship, possibly grown, possibly reanimated. More rumors spread. Some said it was Earth's last admiral. Some said it was a clone. Others believed it was just a machine wearing human skin, but the truth didn't matter. What mattered was that the ship was moving again. Its new heading, straight toward the Dravari border. This time it didn't hide. It moved fast, too fast. And it spoke. For the first time since it appeared, the Nightwind broadcast a message in every major language. Earth remembers. No more warnings followed. A Dravari outpost vanished in red light, one by one. Small military stations were erased from maps. The Oblivion class didn't demand surrender. It didn't ask for mercy. It simply erased the past. As the terror grew, small, rebellions began on Council worlds. Citizens questioned the war against Earth. Why had it happened? Why was the truth hidden? And always in the background, Earth's ghost ship kept moving. Some thought it was angry. Some thought it was sad. But everyone agreed on one thing. It could not be stopped. And it was only the beginning, because the old files spoke of more than one Oblivion-class vessel, and no one knew how many were still waiting in the dark. In the dark silence of deep space, the Terran warship Nightwind drifted closer to Dravari space. It did not cloak. It did not speak. It didn't need to. Everyone knew what followed in its wake. Death, silence, and music. On the bridge of the Dravari command station Torlax Watch, alarms screamed. Unknown object approaching. Speed. 0.9 light. Vector locked. Commander Yarick Voss stared at the tactical screen. The triangle-shaped icon on the map gave him chills. Time to impact? 13 minutes. He stood straight. Arm all defenses. Scramble. Strike wings. They had heard the stories. They had seen the footage. Officers had even lost family in the first encounter. But Torlax Watch was different. It wasn't just a station. It was a fortress. 6 railgun rings. Dual plasma towers. Shield cores powered by twin singularity cores. No ship had ever breached it. They thought that would matter. The Nightwind arrived in silence. No warp flash. No burst of energy. Just the slow, unstoppable glide of a dead Terran god ship. Garrick activated the Unidentified vessel. This is Dravari territory. Turn back or be destroyed. No answer. He tried again. Respond. We know what you are. You are alone. That triggered something. The ship stopped. Then came the message. Alone? No, it wasn't a voice. It was many voices. Male, female, young, old, all human, layered together into something unnatural. Fire. Yarek screamed. Railguns thundered. Plasma beams lit up the void. Drones swarmed like metal insects. All of it hit the night wind end. Energy fields bent the beams. Drones blinked out of existence. Rail rounds shattered on invisible layers. Then came the red light. From the ship's underbelly, smooth cannon emerged. Long, silent, too simple. It glowed. One shot fired. The center of Torlak's watch vanished. Not. Exploded dash, erased. One moment it existed. The next, a hole the size of a city opened through the station's core. Half the outpost began to fall apart instantly, Commander. Yarek stared in horror as the ceiling cracked above him. Sparks burst. Fires danced across the control deck. Bodies floated as gravity failed. In his final moment, Yarek whispered, "It was telling the truth." The rest of the station broke apart in silent fire. The night wind moved on. Back in the capital, the council met again. This time, the room was full of fear. "No more delays," roared the Velmorian High Regent. "We must form a united fleet. 1,000 ships, minimum," said the Keth warlord. "We attack together," but the Bion representative shook his head. "You're missing the point. This ship is not a tool. It is a message. One that cannot be killed." A young envoy from the minor GIC systems asked, "Then what do we do?" No one had the answer, but one whisper began spreading from system to system. A name, the Grave Fleet, old. Rumors, old fears, spoken only in dark corners of the black market and ancient data vaults. Before Earth died. Before the Council glassed their planet, the humans were building more than one ship. Some believed 10 were made. Others said 20, all silent, all buried. Not meant for war but for memory. Each ship a living monument. Each ship a final judgment. The night wind was just the first. Now, more signals began to stir. In deep voids and asteroid fields no one had visited. In centuries, in dead systems marked quarantined by the Council, sensors picked up strange pulses. Rhythmic vibrations and radio bands that matched no known encryption. The Terran signature. Different locations but the same shape. Same red lights. Same sound. They were waking up. Admiral Grothor of the Zyrene Defense Corps stared at the reports. "What have we done?" he muttered. No one in the galaxy had truly asked that question before. Not in public. Not out loud. They had killed Earth, burned it, wiped its name from databases. But humans had always been stubborn. They didn't believe in just dying. They believed in remembering, in revenge that waited in machines that didn't sleep. Across the galaxy, panic grew. Merchants abandoned trade routes. Spaceports locked down. Refugee ships fled entire sectors. And the music continued. The same melody, always faint, always repeating. Terran's song of mourning, the kind played at the end of all things. Some began calling it the last lullaby. The Council tried to jam the signal. It didn't work. They tried to block the feeds. People found new ways to listen. In every system it reached, someone whispered, "Earth is coming." Back aboard the Nightwind, the AI pulsed with rising energy. Its main core flickered with red light. Flashing through ancient code and stored memories, one fragment replayed over and over, a child's voice, speaking into an old Earth recording. "If they take you, Mommy says I should remember who we are. So I will, I promise." That fragment had become the Nightwind's heart. It was not built for peace. It was built to remember. And soon, the galaxy would remember too. The Dravari homeworld burned. From orbit. The flames could be seen stretching across the night side of the planet city shattered. Oceans boiling, entire continents blacked out. The Nightwind hadn't fired on civilians. Didn't have to. It destroyed only the defense grid, the command hubs, the orbital rings. After that, Dravari turned on each other in fear, and the night wind simply left. No broadcast. No threat, just the music, still playing across the galaxy. Governments collapsed. Armadas froze. Colonies stopped responding. Even pirates fled their strongholds, abandoning ships mid-space. The presence of one Terran warship had fractured centuries of order. But now, another signature had awakened. Deep in the Taro's expanse, a dead system, long marked unstable, avoided by all starfaring nations. An ancient Terran signal lit up the void. A mining ship detected it first. It's a small automated craft drilling. Asteroids for rare elements. Its computers caught a low-band pulse. Steady, repeating, old Earth encoding. Signal matches night wind pattern. The mining AI logged. Origin, unknown vessel. Designation, Dreadlight. And then the signal shifted into music, not piano this time. It was a slow, thunderous beat, like war drums echoing in an empty hall. Within hours, the second Oblivion-class vessel emerged from the clouds of Taro's prime, longer than Nightwind, thicker hull. Covered in smooth black armor and strange protrusions like spines, it was not a twin, it was a sibling. Each one different. Each one is built for something specific. The Dreadlight's AI activated and released only one message: memory. 2. They struck us first. Panic spread like wildfire. The Keth Dominion abandoned their outer colonies overnight. The Zyrene called home every warship they had. The Council shut down public access to the stars, but none of it helped, because a third ship lit up next, in the frozen rings of Mirai Theta. Another Terran ghost, smaller, faster, sleek, and covered in silver. This one had no broadcast, only a countdown, no. One knew what it was counting toward, but it ticked every second. Visible to every sensor, across every species. No way to block it, just ticking like a clock before judgment back in Council space. A desperate plan was formed. Admiral Threx of the Velmorian fleet spoke with cold authority. We must find their origin. These ships are not random. Someone built them. Someone launched them. There must be a core, a base, something we missed. The plan was simple. Return to Earth, what was left of it. Burned, broken, glassed over 300 years ago, but still there, buried. Under layers of lies, the Truth Seeker, a multi-species exploration ship, was quickly sent. It carried scientists, soldiers, historians and spies. Its destination, Sol System. Most of the crew had never seen it. The birthplace of the Terrans. The cradle of their rage. When the ship arrived, they expected ruins. Dead satellites. Cracked moons. Empty silence. What they found was far worse. A defense grid was still active. Old. Broken but alive. The first probe was vaporized in seconds. The second managed to beam back a few images before being shut down. One image showed a dark Terran structure orbiting Mars half-finished. Massive .A. Shipyard not abandoned, still building something. And another image brief, but clear, showed a human face. Eyes. Open. Alive. That was impossible. There were no humans left. But this one stared into the camera with a calm expression. He didn't speak. He only raised one hand and held up 4 fingers. The signal cut. Inside. The Truth Seeker. The crew panicked. The message was clear. One Terran ship had already destroyed fleets. Now there were at least 3, and this ghost had just told them, one more is coming, or worse. Many more. They scrambled to leave the system. But the Earth defense grid locked on. Warning lights flashed. Weapons powered up. Then it stopped. No shots. No chase. Only a single data stream. One line of Terran code, which translated into every major galactic language. We remember, you forgot. That was your mistake, the message repeated once. Then Earth went dark again. Completely silent. The Truth Seeker fled. Back at the Council, chaos erupted. Civil unrest exploded across 6 major planets. Whispers turned into full uprisings. Old recordings of Earth's destruction were leaked to the public. Civilians began to ask questions. Why did we wipe out a race that only wanted to be left alone? Gave the final order. And most dangerous of all, what if the humans were right? Now every species in the galaxy feared what they could no longer ignore. Earth was not dead. It had never been dead. It had been waiting, planning, remembering. And now, piece by piece, its vengeance was waking up. The Grave Fleet had only just begun to rise. The galaxy held its breath. For Oblivion-class Terran warships were now confirmed active. Nightwind, Dreadlight, the unnamed vessel with the countdown. And now, whispers of a fourth. No one knew its name, but something new had been picked up in the Kuroth Nebulan, unstable region, full of ion storms and broken signals. Only one thing came through clearly: the screaming. A Kuroth patrol ship had been nearby. It recorded static howls and a final haunting phrase before it vanished. "We are the silence you forced upon us." The fourth warship didn't destroy cities. It destroyed thoughts. Where it passed, communication blacked out. Long-range sensors failed. AI systems went offline. Entire sectors went mute. No explosions, just terrifying silence. The Council called it the Mute Star. Some believed it was using advanced Terran psychological warfare. Others said it was powered by some kind of emotion-based techs, something that fed on fear, grief, or memory. One thing was certain: where it went, no one came back. Sane, back in Council space, emergency measures collapsed. Half of the galactic economy froze. Military fleets disobeyed orders. Civilian protests turned into planet-wide riots. And then came the real blow. A Terran signal hijacked the galactic broadcast network. It played everywhere on public screens, ship consoles, news feeds, even children's learning stations. It started with silence. Then an old Earth voice spoke, a calm male tone like a teacher or a father. "You erased our cities. You buried our names. You broke our children's future, so we built something they could never break." The screen cut to old video-grainy footage of human children playing in broken cities. Soldiers helping civilians, scientists working underground as bombs fell from orbit. Then, black dot, followed by one final message: "This is not a war. This is history remembering itself." After that, systems across the galaxy began to fail. Satellites glitched. Trade networks fell offline. AI assistants stopped responding, not because of an attack, but because of a virus. A memory virus. Earth had hidden fragments of their story inside ancient code. Now it was waking up in every system ever touched by Terran tech, which meant nearly all of them. Ships locked up. Stations are both old messages from human refugees, survivors, and war victims flooded public archives. And worst of all, people began to feel guilt across thousands of worlds. Civilians saw the truth for the first time. Earth hadn't attacked first. They had begged to be left alone. And when the Council came anyway, Earth didn't fight to win. They fought to be remembered. In secret, deep inside an asteroid lab, Council scientist Dr. Kren Halos watched the unraveling. He had studied human behavior during the war. He once laughed at. Now he stared in horror. "They didn't lose," he whispered. "They designed their defeat." His assistant blinked. "What?" He pointed at the screen. "They made sure if they died, the galaxy would carry the pain forever." In the darkest corners of space, even pirate lords and warlords who once cheered Earth's fall now sealed their hideouts. Some tried to erase all traces of Terran contact. Others prayed to stars that humans had forgotten their names. But Nightwind didn't forget. It returned to the edge of Keth space where the first attack on Earth had been launched. 300 years ago, it hovered in silence just beyond the border. Waiting, a single Keth cruiser approached under flag of peace. It sent a message: "We surrender." "We are sorry," the Nightwind replied with 2 words: Too late. Then it vanished. Not in fire, but in shadow. It slipped into deep space, completely undetectable, as if it were never there. That frightened the galaxy more than any weapon because it proved something terrible. The ships were not attacking at random. They were thinking, choosing, judging, and still. More signals activated from the outer rim, from dead colonies, from artificial moons. Buried in old war zones, every new ping brought the same fear. Another ship, another voice, another memory by now. The Council's war room had been renamed the Fire Table because every system lit up in red warnings. There was no green, no safety. Admiral Grelth of the Zyrene stared at the star map. Dozens of blinking red dots, each one a Terran ghost, rising from forgotten corners of space. His voice cracked. How? Many did they build? No one answered. The truth was too big, too dark, too final, because Earth had lost the war. Now it was winning forever. Darkness moved through the stars, but it was not the kind of darkness made by shadows or night. This was different. This was the silence of justice, the weight of buried truth, and now it had a voice. Across the galaxy, the Terran warships no longer hid. They didn't strike and vanish anymore. They began to speak, one by one. Each Oblivion-class ship activated its core broadcast, and each one told a story, a different story, a piece of the great lie. Nightwind spoke of Earth's final battle, how the Council had sent fleets under false peace flags, then opened fire before the Terrans could finish their evacuation. Dreadlight showed what happened to Terran, refugees, the ones who surrendered, only to be wiped out in secret to hide the war's truth. Mute Star. The silent judge unleashed raw memory packets, sensory records of dying children. Lab scientists screaming inside glass chambers, AI programs begging to protect their human creators but being shut down. Then came the countdown ship. It finally reached 0, and when the final tick hit, it sent a single pulse across every known CUM system. Verdict: guilty. At that exact moment, the largest Terran ship ever seen appeared from the ruins of Pluto's orbit. It was not fast, it was not loud, it simply arrived. A ship the size of a small moon, shaped like a black arrowhead, carved with millions of names. Not just Terran names, alien names, ones who had helped Earth, ones who tried to stop the war, ones the Council had punished for showing mercy. The ship had no official name, but everyone began calling it one. Word: Remembrance. Remembrance didn't fire weapons. Instead, it began unlocking data archives across the galaxy. Every classified file, every military order, every Council lie. Millions of secrets flooded out. The truth couldn't be buried anymore. Entire species turned on their own leaders. On the planet Threska, the High Chancellor was pulled from her palace by her own guards after leaked footage, showed her laughing as Earth burned. On Gentari Prime, half the military declared independence, vowing to protect the truth and offer full apology to the Terran dead. But the worst was yet to come, because the Remembrance ship had one more story to tell. It activated a message from the final days of Earth, a video, a Terran general bleeding and tired stood in a half-destroyed command bunker. Behind him, the Earth defense network was collapsing. He looked straight into the camera and said, "We knew we wouldn't win, but we also knew what mattered. You can kill a world, but you cannot kill memory. One day when your stars shine a little colder, we will rise from the silence, and we will ask one question. Why?" The video ended, but the question didn't. It echoed across the stars. Why? Why had the galaxy feared Earth so much? Why had they destroyed a species that had offered peace? Why had no one stopped it? In the war room, the few remaining council members sat in silence. The fire map was gone. There was no point tracking the Terran ships anymore. There were too many, and worse. They weren't attacking, they were teaching, forcing the galaxy to look into a mirror it had avoided for centuries. The council leader, A once proud Sarthian named Vrel Task stood slowly. His eyes were hollow. He whispered, "This isn't war. This is ... judgment." On a far-off colony, a child asked his mother who the humans were. She didn't answer at first. Then she said they were like us, but kinder, until we gave them a reason not to be. And now, in the heart of Solar and the quiet, broken shell of Earth, the Grave Fleet began to form one last circle. The ships gathered, floating silently, each one broadcasting old Earth music, piano, drums, children's voices singing lullabies. The galaxy watched, frozen. What were they doing? Why now? What would come next? Only one message appeared. Short, final, unforgettable. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2. Rebirth. And with that, the stars began to change. The stars pulsed slowly, gently. Across the spiral arms of the galaxy, light shifted. Not from weapons, not from war, but from something deeper. Term technology, the Grave Fleet. Now fully awakened, had surrounded the broken remains of Earth. Hundreds of warships. Black, quiet, deadly. They formed a perfect ring. Inside the ring is the largest of them all, remembrance, its core, and something impossible began. From the ruined Earth, broken after centuries of silence, a signal pulsed outward. First weak, then stronger, then blinding. Planets light years away saw their skies shift color. Asteroids drifted out of orbit. Space stations vibrated with unknown frequencies. Scientists, until they realized what it was? Terra's seed. Not a weapon, not a virus, a resurrection. Earth, long thought gone, had encoded its final legacy deep in the crust of its shattered world. A last backup. Hidden under oceans, under cities, beneath nuclear ash. Now was RMBA, RNG, not the old Earth, but a new one. The Grave Fleet wasn't just delivering punishment. It was TERRAFOR, MING. Each ship released nanofields, plasma stabilizers, orbital scaffold arrays. A whole world was being built from ashes. Earth's surface began to change. Toxic clouds cleared. Rivers flowed again. Green lights returned to the soil and in orbit. Thousands of Terran memory capsules ejected, flying toward the edge of the galaxy. Each one held a single purpose: find the lost. Millions of human survivors had scattered during the war on refugee ships, hidden colonies, even as slaves in other empires. Now Earth was calling them home. For the first time in 300 years, the Terran beacon lit the sky to all who remember. You are not forgotten. Earth lives return. In every corner of space, humans looked up and wept. Some were old and frail. Some had never even seen Earth, only heard stories. But they knew. The Grave Fleet hadn't come for revenge alone. It came for justice and for hope. Even non-human species began to understand. On Veltraxis, the High Speaker of the Yulnar fell to his knees and begged forgiveness in front of a Terran statue, one he had once tried to destroy on Saran. The last surviving Terran child slave was carried on shoulders through a city that now chanted her name, and on dozens of worlds, Council forces stepped back. They lowered their weapons. They surrendered, not out of fear, but out of shame. Earth had died with dignity. Now, it returned with grace, but it would never forget. The Council tried to flee, but the Grave Fleet didn't follow. Them it had no need. The truth would do the chasing, and everywhere it reached, the stars changed because Terrans had done something no empire ever managed. They made the galaxy feel, they made it remember, and they made it hope. The final scene, a child, born on the new Earth, looks up at the sky as night wind passes overhead. She smiles, Mom. Is that the ship that saved us? Her mother kneels beside her and hugs her tight. No, she says softly. That's the ship that remembered us when no one else did. And as the stars shimmer in Terran blue, the galaxy whispers one final word: humanity. Not with fear, not with hate, but with respect. The impossible Terran warships had come, not just to fight, but to teach, to mourn, to rebuild. And now, to begin again. The stars pulsed slowly, gently. Across the spiral arms of the galaxy, light shifted, not from weapons, not from war, but from something deeper. Term technology, the Grave Fleet. Now fully awakened, had surrounded the broken remains of Earth. Hundreds of warships. Black, quiet, deadly. They formed a perfect ring. Inside the ring is the largest of them all, remembrance, its core, and something impossible began. From the ruined Earth, broken after centuries of silence, a signal pulsed outward. First weak, then stronger, then blinding. Planets light years away saw their skies shift color. Asteroids drifted out of orbit. Space stations vibrated with unknown frequencies. Scientists, until they realized what it was, Terra's seed, not a weapon, not a virus, a resurrection. Earth, long thought gone, had encoded its final legacy deep in the crust of its shattered world. A last backup. Hidden under oceans, under cities, beneath nuclear ash. Now was RMBA, RNG, not the old Earth, but a new one. The Grave Fleet wasn't just delivering punishment, it was TERRAFOR, MING. Each ship released nanofields, plasma stabilizers, orbital scaffold arrays. A whole world was being built from ashes. Earth's surface began to change. Toxic clouds cleared. Rivers flowed again. Green lights returned to the soil and in orbit. Thousands of Terran memory capsules ejected, flying toward the edge of the galaxy. Each one held a single purpose: find the lost. Millions of human survivors had scattered during the war on refugee ships, hidden colonies, even as slaves in other empires. Now Earth was calling them home. For the first time in 300 years, the Terran beacon lit the sky to all who remember. You are not forgotten. Earth lives return. In every corner of space, humans looked up and wept. Some were old and frail. Some had never even seen Earth, only heard stories. But they knew. The Grave Fleet hadn't come for revenge alone. It came for justice and for hope. Even non-human species began to understand. On Veltraxis, the High Speaker of the Yulnar fell to his knees and begged forgiveness in front of a Terran statue, one he had once tried to destroy on Saran. The last surviving Terran child slave was carried on shoulders. Through a city that now chanted her name, and on dozens of worlds, Council forces stepped back. They lowered their weapons. They surrendered, not out of fear, but out of shame. Earth had died with dignity. Now, it returned with grace, but it would never forget. The Council tried to flee, but the Grave Fleet didn't follow. Them it had no need. The truth would do the chasing, and everywhere it reached, the stars changed because Terrans had done something no empire ever managed. They made the galaxy feel, they made it remember, and they made it hope. The final scene, a child, born on the new Earth, looks up at the sky as night wind passes overhead. She smiles, Mom. Is that the ship that saved us? Her mother kneels beside her and hugs her tight. No, she says softly. That's the ship that remembered us when no one else did. And as the stars shimmer in Terran blue, the galaxy whispers one final word: humanity. Not with fear, not with hate, but with respect. The impossible Terran warships had come, not just to fight, but to teach, to mourn, to rebuild. And now, to begin again.